Another recent public back and forth.
I didn't have nothing. I don't want people to think I'm going back and forth. I'm just telling my truth. You heard?
Right.
And in terms of me telling my truth, and people feel they need to have a rebuttal or whatever they got going on, let them do it. This ain't a battle. People know this is not a battle at all.
Is it still a brotherhood? Is it still family?
Nah, it definitely ain't no brotherhood.
Definitely not.
Definitely ain't no brotherhood. It been not no brotherhood. You heard?
And it's not fixable.
We taught you how to rap. How you ran the whole organization. How you made Diplomat. You ain't make none of this stuff. You was a fan. I put you down. Because you had a free cred.
He wanted that. He was watching them be that, like Mace be that and Cam be that, and looked at, and it was finally, he had one.
Mm-hmm.
But I was like, we like Jimmy better than you anyway, Cam. Then you gotta watch and see how he responds. And then when you see, he like, oh, he really like that.
That man is going to try to kill you, Camron's mother stated, looking him in the eye just before she passed away. She was referring to Jim Jones, whom Cam referred to as his brother. This is a warning from real life, not a jab or industry. Feud. And now, everything she anticipated is coming to pass. 50 Cent forewarned us. Max B attempted to inform us, but no one anticipated that Camron's internal threats would pose the greatest threat to his life. What exactly did Jim want then? Cam's life, his crown, or simply retaliation for a history he couldn't let go of? As you are all aware, Camron and Jim's animosity and conflict have been building for years. However, it has now been revealed that years before she died, Camron's own mother, Frederica Giles, loudly told him that Jim Jones intended to take him out. What's crazy is that this isn't simply anybody speaking. The only woman who was fully aware of Cam's life was this one. If you know Cam, you are aware that Frederica was more than simply his mother. She was a part of his entire being, including his sound and come up. He appeared with her, rapped about her, and discussed her in interviews. Camron frequently shared details about his close bond with his mother, Frederica Giles, with his admirers. Therefore, her statement that Jim had bad blood in him was a serious warning rather than a dramatic one. And now, when you really zoom out, everything lines up, so what she said has a different impact. It was seen for 50 cents. It was lived in by Max B. Both of them had been accusing Jim of jealousy for a long time, but no one seemed interested in listening. However, it appears that the fog has cleared now. In that conversation with Cam, 50 even stated it himself. It is what it is. He described Jim's movements throughout the first set against Gun It. He
Not a rapper. That
Right.
he was your man, like on the side, like in the side, just he was not a rapper at all.
Right.
But I was like, we like Jimmy better than you anyway, Cam. Then you gotta watch and see how he responds. And then when you see, he like, oh, he really.
And during a full-fledged battle with Cam, Jim accepted 50's invitation to take the stage as if it were his chance to win the title. Jim has been playing that lengthy game, which is the problem. People assumed it was just awkward interviews, sly remarks, and possibly some conflict over money or the media. However, this man publicly said that there is no brotherhood with Camron on Rap Life Radio.
Brotherhood, is it still family?
Nah,
It's
it
just
definitely ain't
public?
no brotherhood.
Definitely not.
Definitely ain't no brotherhood. It been not no brotherhood. You heard?
And it's not fixable.
That one statement, after all the albums, the history, and the fights they fought together, made it clear to everyone what time it was. Jim won't violate any lines if there is no brotherhood. And who else has been disregarding the signs if Frederica was already putting in so much energy years ago? People are now bringing up Max B once more, and rightfully so. Jim was getting his first hits off the ground when Max was deep in the mix. And what took place? Max was iced out, cut off, and paid too little. Max consistently claimed that Jim was a serpent who peddled illusions and exploited others. Everyone believed it to be sour grapes. But now that Cam is receiving these insults, Max appears to be more of a prophet. Speaking of shootings, let's discuss Camron's shooting in Washington, D.C. In 2005, Cam attended Howard's homecoming in Washington, D.C. At a red light, two masked men unexpectedly approach him while he is driving a Lamborghini, not a warning. They attempt to take over his vehicle. Cam is shot in both arms after refusing. Despite being bloody, he was able to drive himself to the hospital. The media at the time attempted to portray it as a robbery gone wrong. However, that story was never bought by the hood. It didn't feel right. Seemed overly straightforward. As if sending a message was the main focus and the car had no bearing at all. The Associated Press claims that the Camron shooting was not a vehicle hijacking. And now that people are hearing Federica's statements, the DC shooting appears to be something completely different. Because who's to say the hit wasn't connected? If there was actual smoke coming from behind the scenes, if Jim had movement in his corner and envy in his head. Although nothing has been confirmed as of yet, rumors have it that Cam's survival of the carjacking was due to escape rather than chance. And perhaps the first concrete indication that someone close wasn't being fair. Because envy doesn't always shout. It waits at times. It awaits a little lapse in protection or a slip. And perhaps that explains what Mama Cam said. Perhaps she was the first to notice Jim flip the switch. Perhaps the red light in DC wasn't a coincidence. Perhaps it was. The time Cam was meant to leave, but he chose not to. And now years later, it's more than just a revisiting of old scars. Everything is falling apart. Jim Jones is now acting as though he has been harboring the same resentment since 2004, still attempting to rework, a tale that everyone on the block is familiar with. Furthermore, people are no longer sugarcoating things. They are describing it how they see fit. Jim is 50 years old, noisy and resentful, and he's attempting to act 23. Dude is told old to still be this childish, one man said sharply in the comments. He would be peddling marijuana and chopped cheese in Harlem if it weren't for Cam. Not a kingpin, not educated, not skilled, just another guy trying to live up to his rhymes. It's 40 years too late. Rumor has it that Cam provided Jim a rap strategy. And for the next 20 years, he tried to surpass the man who initially lit the candle for him, rather than honoring that path. That is treachery, not hunger. Jim was never made to be a king. All he wanted to do was take a seat. And now that the truth is out, people are calling him what he is. A Judas, a backup player attempting to take charge of the squad, and a grown guy who learned how Torapin is now criticizing the instructors. Jim has acknowledged that Mace and Cam showed him Thiway and taught him how to rap.
I was a nice guy.
Okay.
Mace like, yo, I think
However,
I'll teach him how to
we
rap.
never
Mace
heard the
actually
notion
taught
that he
you
isn't seeing
how
her
to
because,
rap. Literally.
like, she's a 304
Literally.
or something,
He
or
taught you
that
how
she
to rap.
has children.
You say it.
For this reason, we were informed. Stefan
Mace told me how to rap.
Mace actually
Cardi
showed
B
me. He
and
was the first
Stephon
person to show
Diggs
me how to
has
rap.
broken up. At one point, I was thinking to myself, this ain't
math isn't what it seems. It appears that Jim essentially simply came out and revealed his true motivations. Additionally, the shadow, side switching, and passive-aggressive interviews are visible when you turn around. Yes, it has existed. We simply didn't want to accept it. However, it's loud now. People frequently point out Jim's alignment with 50 Cent. Do you recall that? When G-Unit and Dipset were engaged in a full-scale conflict, Jim rushes to the enemy while feigning inauthenticity on camera, but to the actual ones, it was nothing. He revealed his hand on that day. Cam noticed. 50 people saw it. It was seen by the entire civilization. Jim was treated like a pawn by 50, who was a superb manipulator. He made use of his knowledge that Jim lacked loyalty and had jealousy in his heart. People are stating that what 50 stated in the past now makes sense because of this. Beef wasn't the only thing. Jim's tendency to flip when the spotlight wasn't on him was highlighted. Nothing has changed as of right now. Jim continues to brag, throw parties, and try to convince people online that he is that person. However, the supporters and the streets are aware. It was best expressed in one comment. "Jim, you've had enough. My friend, how are you going to behave like a boss when the people who taught you how to rap are the ones who brought you in?" Funny, it sounds like the truth. Without Cam giving him the blueprint and Maze honing his craft, Jim Jones the rapper wouldn't even exist. He is now disparaging them both online as if history had forgotten. No, people, keep in mind that they are observing. And don't forget that ridiculous boxing task. A grown guy with gray hair, Jim Jones, challenges Camron to a $10 million fight. Hip-hop isn't that. Desperation is what that is. That man will destroy what little legacy he has left to follow trends because he is so desperate for recognition. The crazy aspect is that Cam isn't even flinching. He's too busy creating, managing sports events, landing actual deals, and doing freestyles with bars that continue to make waves in the industry. While the rest of the block has turned against him, Jim is out here shouting into microphones in an attempt to stay hot. Fans who once rocked with Jim heavy are abandoning the band. "I used to be a fan of Jimmy, but this corny video is just so whack," one person remarked. For Team Cam, the irony is that Cam is attempting to stay relevant by earning far more money than Jim. The theme is that disappointment, incredulity, observing the real-time unraveling of a man. Jim isn't simply getting older, he is regressing, battling ghosts, resenting his own history, and seeking approval from the same group that had previously declared Cam to be the one. Let's be honest, Cam never had to shout or plead for flowers. With each verse and each wave he launched, he won. His Jim is still attempting to establish his significance. Even though Jim's image is more smoke than substance, it has been discussed. It weighs so much. Particularly 50 Cent recently called Jim Individual 1, a crude remark that implied Fed connections. And 50 doesn't say it for nothing. Therefore, it's not random when he returns and posts images from his old Dipset while making fun of Jim's music. It's a warning and a callback. Jim is being exposed by 50 in 2025 in the same manner that he was in 2007 because nothing has changed. Additionally, the resentment is showing in every Jim interview now that Cam is winning without even mentioning his name. The music doesn't move and the jabs don't hit. It's becoming clear that Jim has spent his entire career hiding something. Absence of progress, humility, and bars. Additionally, their online following has been more vocal than ever, accusing Jim of being the one who betrayed Maze, ran to 50, and is currently dragging Cam into fabricated feuds and weak disses. For what purpose? Relevance, streams, and clout. Cam's legacy is getting better in the meantime. In a direct statement, one user stated, "That isn't genuine. That is the height of deception." He essentially came out and revealed his true intentions at last. That Judas is awful. That 50 cents makes more sense now than it did in the past. Someone else wrote, "Jimmy, you look foolish. Be mature, dude. Let's be clear. This isn't hate. We are in mourning, lamenting the potential of Jim. He had the lane, the energy, and the cosigns, but he wanted more. He desired respect he didn't deserve and recognition he didn't deserve. And now he's out there battling shadows, yelling into space, and wondering why no one is responding, since there is nothing more to applaud. Jim did more than simply betray a man. The same legacy that earned him his name was destroyed by fire. Even after the supporters have left, he still wants to return, which is crazy. Ash is the bridge. Long dead is the bond, Cam's went on. Along with him, the world changed. Jim, however, is still out there circling the wreckage and attempting to change history as if we were not present when it occurred. The question today isn't whether he would attempt it again, but rather what he will damage next in order to feel important.